Hello, dear friends. Worry about what other thinks, and you will always be the prisoner. Opinion piece. The Truman Show. Reality show. Brainwashing. Elite infighting. Giza intelligence. Simulation theory. Low-level operatives. False fears of control. Power levels on Earth. Globalization crumbles. New powers are waiting. Expulsion of the men in black. Global membrane of managers. Today's politicians are not pacifists. Propaganda about grace and reptilians. Let's start. The global deception of the Truman Show will become strange in 2025, according to Mike Adams. We live in a kind of simulation in the style of set film where false fears are unleashed to try to control us. They are about to make the year 2025 really wait with all kinds of staged crises, just like the movie The Truman Show. Plot. The Truman Show is a movie that tells the story of Truman Burbank, a man who unwittingly stars in a 24-hour television show since his birth. Truman lives in Sea Haven, a town that is actually a huge television set populated by actors. His life is controlled by executive producer Christoph, who manipulates every aspect of his existence, including the weather and daily events. As he grows up, Truman begins to notice irregularities in his surroundings, objects falling from the sky, strange conversations on the radio, and repetitive patterns in people's movement. These events arouse his suspicion and lead him to question the reality around him. Truman attempts to escape Sea Haven, but is faced with obstacles created by the show's production, such as flight cancellations, bus breakdowns, and supposed accidents. He is also prevented from leaving by his fear of the ocean, a result of a manipulated childhood trauma. Eventually, Truman manages to evade surveillance and embarks on a sea voyage. Christoph attempts to stop him by creating an artificial storm, but Truman perseveres. Upon reaching the edge of the set, he discovers the truth about his false world. Christoph tries to convince Truman to stay, arguing that the outside world is dangerous and that his duty is to entertain the audience. However, Truman chooses freedom and leaves the set, ending the show and beginning his real life. Simulation theory. Elon Musk has expressed support for the possibility that we live in a simulation. Simulation theory proposes that our reality, including the universe and everything in it, could be a computer simulation created by beings from another dimension or a more advanced civilization. This hypothesis, popularized by the philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003, suggests that we live in a virtual world similar to a very sophisticated video game. The theory posits that our existence is a simulation indistinguishable from reality. The conscious mind within this virtual reality may or may not know that it is living in a simulation. According to this theory, physical reality would be composed of bits of information from which our experience of space-time would arise. Power levels. According to Tonfall, humans would be subjected to brainwashing. The Council of Seven complains that it costs too much money to maintain billions of citizens, and therefore they want to reduce the population gently. Positive staff visitors are the ones who are supposed to be here. They are from civilizations in the history books. Why are they taking so long to come and rescue us? Power levels of the Earth according to Battle for the World. Revelations of a globalization that is secretly crumbling. For many centuries, the Earth has gone through relentless wars, and many wonder why. And as time goes on, new wars and conflicts develop, refined in ways that are fought with new ideologies and weapons. The story of all this makes many wonder. Are its instigators and promoters lacking in the shadows, working to implement some kind of desired agenda? Today's politicians are the opposite of pacifists. When new leaders are elected, nothing changes for the better, because the same rhetoric is reintroduced in other clever ways to continue the world generation, because that seems to be the goal until a world party breaks out, which will not break out because they have already tried many times and failed. And the next layer of stupidity is deployed in the psychology of war, with double-speak strategies to achieve more degeneration, but that will not be allowed. Leaders who take orders from managers will continue the same illogical way of seeking strength globally. If there are no changes from the manager level, the Illuminoid level, which is thousands of years old, has disappeared, and managers have lost their guiding layer of wisdom, and so it would only be a matter of time before they turn against each other, which has already begun. The global membrane of managers is turning against itself, fighting for the top leader level, and as managers fight each other, leadership in the West will become more and more out of control and incoherent, because they will talk like lunatics, fanning the flames of war. Managers are still sitting in their posts and not taking orders from Donald Trump if he becomes president again. And they would cause problems for Trump if he does what he wants, because the various powers and the influence of the managers would fall on President Trump. In addition, the weak have at their disposal certain psychological and technical means to enforce the performance of the leaders. But people should not be discouraged, because there are helpers in the background, working to remove the obstacles that prevent world peace from being achieved. To begin with, the two factions of degenerate aliens that led the West have already been expelled. Origin of evil. When people use terms like demos to say which segments of managers work for these men, the public should realize that the intelligence of Giza and the men in black are descendants of ancient gods, a level of which created Adam and Eve from human beings who had already populated the earth about 100,000 years ago. And Jehovah is related to these ancient gods, who is still worshipped today by many human beings, even though he died a long time ago. Words like demon should be redefined to mean words like negativity, evil, etc., because some of the gods also exerted a lot of coercion to fulfill their plans. The drawings that have appeared over the centuries of a man with a goat head and horns on a human body don't exist in real life, but are very real to some, either through indoctrination or dreams, and have become a form of mental psychosis, or someone wearing a costume headdress to torment humans and force them to obey. This programming has remained for many generations, carried out by different managers over the centuries. the descendants of the old gods that the managers would secretly meet with for advice is where they got their knowledge to act against the people of the world, because these mischievous descendants also had plans to return or bring about their arrival on the surface of the earth one day. What people are dealing with now is the consequences of religious dogma that has demoralized human beings for a long period of chaos. Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt according to the Bible. That is, she became rigid with fear, and it was because she turned around and saw the destruction caused by one of the 2 atomic bombs dropped by Jehovah from his spaceship flying over that area of Jordan. Lot's wife was horrified to realize that her family and friends and their belongings had been lost. The other side. The second side of the power structure, with which the Russians are allied, doesn't want to have a nuclear war, so final tests are being carried out to use advanced means in a new type of electromagnetic pulse warfare, which is vague at the moment, and which would be directed against managers. And that is one of the reasons why you see the West launching all kinds of provocations against Russia and China, and then including India, the rest of Asia and the Middle East. When gods fight each other, there are casualties among the population. The hope is that the god side will win and bring permanent peace to the future. The global membrane managed by the Western world for decades, with its sub-managers who are being expelled and disbanded. They ruled the visual space in the Western world throughout the 20th century until it collapsed on September 24, 2022. The first side of the power structure has shaped the unipolar world with the globalist managers. Many of these managers don't want to give up their power and refuse to negotiate with Russia, the leader of the multipolar world, and therefore things could move towards a global conflict. According to one source, one of the managers from the US and 2 others from Europe could break ranks and go against their globalist partners, meaning that the rallying elites would start fighting on the slyly with each other, which is already happening. Giza intelligence. The Giza intelligence is a group of human beings who first came to Earth thousands of years ago from Barnard's star, also known as Beta Centauri. But this was not their original home. Their ancestors evacuated Earth after a war broke out, but their descendants later returned, settling in the ancient underground structures of Egypt before the first dynasty of pharaohs began. From this group emerged the Jewish god Jehovah, who was a mortal human being because he died of old age a long time ago. This group provided the Nazis with an electromagnetic thought-influencing device, which reached the US. Both the Giza intelligence and the Men in Black had effective cloaking technology and could not be easily tracked. In the 1970s, the security team of the extraterrestrial helper ground managed to expel the intelligence from Giza in 1978, and about 3 decades later, in 2006, more sophisticated technology was provided, and the Men in Black, human-like aliens who have been on Earth for thousands of years and who are descendants of ancient gods from Sirius, were located and expelled. Neo-powers. The neo-powers are waiting for their chance, and they will take over at the end of empty top layer, but so far they have not made their move, and when they do, their power will be felt because they promise to clean up the remaining troublemakers that they call wits. The neo-powers are watching from the sidelines while the old managers run around the world acting like madmen. The new powers are said to have made 2 public appearances so far, one in Las Vegas, Nevada in 2023 and the other in Florida in 2024, using humanoid holograms, and the public should expect more from them. But they were also implicated in the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident in England in December 1980. The managers. The global membrane of managers has entangled the landscape of peoples and countries due to the coercion and advice of the ancient gods of Genesis. The managers operate through religion, banking, royal houses, secret societies, multinational corporations, NGOs, etc. And these are not static entities, because the managers have perfected mechanisms to recruit future helpers who are made to rise in rank using coded language, schools, meetings, organizations, private parties, etc. The process is very stealthy because the goal is to attract helpers who can serve their globalist goals. All the propaganda about Greys and reptilians comes from one of the managers. There is speculation that the Roswell UFO crash was not the work of radar, but rather the power levels. But they were also involved in helping the Nazis develop some of their technologies. The Nazis who left Germany for Antarctica had developed UFOs that worked in primitive ways. The Greys and reptilians came to Earth to investigate plants, animals, and human life, but they also helped the Russians obtain exotic technology. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.